All right, excellent. See, this is the type of game that I'm really curious to see how the new battleship is in the hands of a little bit less coordinated teams. Because almost all of the testing that was done on it, involve very, very old farts like myself that are um, have been playing the game for over a year now. And one of the reasons that the battleship had its armor buffed was to kind of make it a little bit more forgiving. It definitely doesn't have any kind of ability to wade in to fire and just like shrug it off. The OSP just doesn't roll like that. They always have 450s on the field or some kind of missile that is able to punch through. It's not like before ANS versus ANS, 450s were kind of the only solution to that, and like the numbers you could take them in weren't really that much greater than what the battleship had on its own. So it was kind of like, mirror matchups get a lot more strange in that you can have a ship that's just slightly ever so bit better than another ship and it'll kind of attrition its way to victory. But the OSP, if they decide to focus their anti-battleship weapons on the battleship, it doesn't just shrug it off. It's more that before you could take a mid-range 250 liner and that ship would be good against CLs, it'd be good against frigates, it'd be good against firing at capping shuttles. Like, it was good against everything in the game. And now that ship in particular is no longer good against battleships. All right, let's hope everyone loads in and everything is fine. I'm always nervous now when people host their own private lobbies. And I hope that the person hosting this knows that if they disconnect from the game, it kills the game for everybody. But we'll see. Should we get you a new webcam so we can see your fuzziness in high definition instead of my 20-year-old Logitech POS camera? Yes, you are too cute. We will get one. All right. YOLO Least Maker, one ship. Might be a BB. Well, might not. I see another YOLO down there. Yeah, I think there is a warning box, like you said, but, if someone's in a bad mood and they're going to quit out like that, sometimes they might just smash that yes button and not think about it. All right, 450 with a plasma turret on the top. Interesting choice. I'm kind of so-so on the plasma turret in general. It has the burst fire, but my issue with it is it's just so vulnerable. It gets killed very easily in comparison to like a 450 turret. Anyway, a pair of 450 plus plasma on the top. Ocello is coming out of J-Spook. Ironclad is taking his missile Ocello again with his kind of E-War, point defense-ish E support tug. Damara over here with a 250 Ocello. I'm not a fan of this. We'll go into it at length maybe later. Not that the player has made a mistake or is doing anything wrong. I just don't like how the 250s kind of what they bring to the table if you put them on an Ocello. T-30's on the backside. Kind of a weird build here. It's on the nose of the tug? What is? What's on the nose of the tug? Oh, this is fine though. This has 89 degrees of depression, so like you can fire it at everything except directly in front, but then you just wiggle 1 degree off and it works. At least I think that's how it is. What can happen is the fire control might get really bizarre with like trying to figure out how to turn the ship. I normally put mine on the top for that reason. So more boxcars. I think these are semi-active, and then does he have more than one of these? Boxcar, coal caboose. I don't know. We'll see how these do. Anyway, on the kind of like Oops All Ocello throwback here, they've missed. Must have seen those coming and decided to dodge them. Train theme missiles? Yeah, I like that. I like that. In response from the ANS team, we have Oops All Capital. This is feeling like a year ago, honestly. 250 Beam. Axford. Is there 2 of them? There are 2 of them. And it's like a escort corvette there. Here we've got an S3 Axford and a capping corvette. And 250 S3 backpack. Are these H's? Yeah. And point defense escorts. Sarissa's on the bottom. Or 1 Sarissa. This is a pure cap. And then we've got a Beam BB. Where is this Beam BB going? That started over there. It's like going wide left. Beam BB in the open. Yeah. Well, again, this is... Yeah, he's rushing B. He might get away with it this time because this EWR is not slewing. You know, the Axford's coming around the same side, so... these Ocellos are going to have a very, very rude awakening. You know, oh, I don't know if he's going to cut in hard enough and avoid being spotted on the Ocello radar. Then again, you know, they might not react in time. It looks like they're coming up now. We'll see when this BB gets spotted. And what else is happening here? So the Ocellos are moving to top of E pillar, and no one's taken A. Okay. Yeah, but then again, this is like very representative of games at this stage of meta knowledge and everything. Like, this is, I would say, you know, it's hard to make a definitive statement now because there are, I feel, a lot fewer players that are newer to the game these days than there are, you know, back when OSP was launched. Just as a matter of time, right? Oh boy. He's braking. Or he's trying to turn? Either way, there's a rumble in the jungle here. They're locked, and the Ocellos are spotted, but they're not being locked. What kind of engines? Double whip, triple whip, and 1 reactor. Is this Masquerade? Oh, it is Masquerade. I thought it was Interrupt. You know, maybe it was successful because... Oh, there, they are still shooting at it. I thought for a second. Oh, and here come some containers. What's the point defense on here? Okay, all stone walls? That's okay. And one defender on the back. Yeah, I mean, the point defense is built correctly. That is so funny. I wonder if that deception has actually worked and these Acellos have stopped firing at the battleship and instead are focusing on the Axford. That is too funny. Alright, here come the containers. They're starting to open up. Don't see any decoys. Oh, as I say that, some go out. Ooh, that one's getting awfully close there. But it looks like there is enough point defense to shut these down. Yeah, the problem is with all of these whiplashes, this battleship just, it can't point itself in the right direction. Oh, there it goes. Yep, the Acellos immediately realize, oh, we have made a grievous error. And there come the reverse thrusters on full blast. I think it is unfortunately going to be not enough. Oh! Oh, that got killed at just the very absolute last second. Wow. Are these flares? No. Wait, is that a flare? I think that is a flare. I so rarely see flares, I don't actually know what that looks like. But I think those sparklies are flares. Yeah. Yeah. And more beam fire continues to come out. Let's see. This Acello's not actually dead. And they're managing to put a little bit of hurt onto this Axford. Unfortunately, with this many ships concentrated in this area, these containers are just... They're basically just sponging point defense ammo. They have absolutely no chance of getting through. Was that a... I saw a blue missile there whiz by. Wasn't sure exactly what happened. So these Acellos, they're definitely in a bad place. This container is not going to be able to do anything about this. B will shortly fall into the hands of ANS, possibly with one, maybe both of those Acellos dying. Oof. That was a pretty interesting tank there. Didn't manage to die despite eating all of those missiles. But it looks like they're retreating. Yeah, it's interesting. These Acellos are absolutely backing up. That's what they should be doing. But the ANS team looks like it's also... Okay, no, there's reverse thrusters now. I mean, they're doing a good job. Of sticking together and supporting each other with their point defense. A couple of missiles coming out here and there. It doesn't look like... Okay, let's see where these S3Hs are going. Possibly into the rear of this Ocello line ship? Possibly at the container? Oh yeah, we're going for the container. Okay. Yep, 1 AMM apiece is not enough. Let's see if these second ones come out. And we'll do the job. Nope. Oh, that one. Oh. Ooh, just barely enough AMMs to take out the S3. But they did the job. Assuming those were like 3-point AMMs, they made their points back, definitely. Yeah, a weird happening here. I think this BB is attempting to stay broadside on. But I'm not sure why they made the call to back off. Yeah, they made it so close too. All right, so strategically, ANS is not in a good position, mostly just because this huge flank they've pushed so far off to begin with. Normally when you come through on a flank like this, especially if you're a beam BB, but in most cases otherwise, you cut a much closer line. That keeps you closer to capturing the point, allows you to get fire onto more of the enemy team wherever they are. Like even if they're on the opposite flank, you're closer and you can start shooting at them sooner. And open space is traditionally very, very dangerous, no matter what type of ship you are. You could maybe make a case if you're like a very light ship and you're trying to like dodge fire. That might be a case where it could be good. But a beam weapon like this, normally you want to charge directly at the enemy, especially when you have been firing. These Ocellos kind of making an interesting choice to come forward and re-engage. The range on a battleship beam is 2,000 or is 5,000 meters. So definitely, you never want to get closer to a beam battleship than that. That is 250 RPF, right? Maybe that's just the only ammo they have for that particular weapon? Yeah, now that this beam BB is in range, it's backing off again? Surely it's moving forward.
The enemy secured zone Comet.
And that S2 missile Axford's gone and taken Comet up at the top there. Yeah, okay. They finally managed to kill this Ocello. The other one and the container bulker behind it are probably not going to live long. All the missiles have been fired off this container anyway. Yeah, it's totally empty. Is that it? Only 2 banks? I feel like that's wrong. There should be more than just the 2 banks, right? These big gray spots in the front, I think, are missing. Yeah. Yeah, so a little bit underpacked container ship there. The container ships, really, in almost all cases, you want to fill them to the brim. If that means, you know, you mix some cheap containers in with some more expensive ones, I think that's the better play. Yeah, even if you decide to take something like an EO decoy container, just just take a little bit less and have some cheaper ones. Like, for example, you can push your EO decoys through when the ship has its full point defense network up, get some hits in, and then finish it off with the cheap ones. You really do lose out a lot, because the container ship, don't forget, it costs 1,000 points just for the hull. So if you're not going to get every ounce out of it, it's kind of a mistake, in my opinion, to go with a ship like that. Alright, there go the Acellos. They're finally dead. This Axford is making a break for the B point, and the other Axfords down here are capturing E, and they've caught out this 450 liner while it was transitioning. They've taken some fire in return, but this is going to be a dead line ship, and this is going to be just a fine Axford. It's going to be fine. Yeah, I would definitely say that the Acello by itself just does not have the firepower required to fight off these new capitals. They still brawl favorably into an Axford, but you know, they don't have the firepower to take out a BB just by themselves. I think.
The enemy is securing zone Boxer.
Yeah, the problem with Shrek. You mean Spook? Who had the missiles? I don't see anybody called Shrek.
The enemy is securing zone Dagger.
Anyway, just the 4 barrels on the Acello, it's not really enough that you can... Ironclad's Acello is Shrek. Okay, got it. The 450 Acellos, I think, are not enough to deal with the battleships anymore. They don't punch as hard. You kind of have to fire 450 AP if the battleship is angled at all, and that just really ratchets down the amount of damage that you can do with something like an Acello. The line ships have that volume of burst fire that is still dangerous to them, but otherwise, yeah, which is fine. I mean, I do like the Acello being pushed more into a support role rather than kind of like what it turned into, which is an Axford that's slightly better at being an Axford, and you can just take a whole bunch of them and be okay. I wasn't a huge fan of that. Oh, did I miss a tug being deleted? Oh, did that come from... Okay, I guess that... Has this not been firing the whole time? Oh, these are Scriggins. That's a name I've not seen in a long time. Oof. Unfortunately, they're locking on chaff. Oh, one of them hit. That is a real feels bad moment. Four out of 5 of your surviving S3Hs go for chaff. Oof. And the counter battery out of this thing is going to be really bad for this Axford. Oh, the container ship finally got caught by the beams, so it's dead. So I would say OSP kind of had the better position, but they just didn't have the right weapons to deal with this beam battleship. you gotta have 450 liners or some kind of missile. Preferably either torpedo or like MLS2 spam. Because the containers, they just don't. I think it's really tragic what has happened to containers and how they kind of work in the current game. Just because, you know, that's such a cool, iconic archetype to bring onto the field. But they really suffer from so many issues. They have low health. They're easily defeated by point defense that isn't really designed to deal with them. It's kind of just a happy coincidence that you can take flak and kill containers, and then flak also is great against S2 dumps. Even with the the EO decoy containers, it can be really hard to get enough of those through to deal the damage you need to deal. And then, you know, you have cheap containers which just don't even get anywhere near ships these days. It's dead, it's dead. Where are the pods? There they are. It's launching pods, stop shooting. Yep, so well done. You know, obviously the 58 centimeters of armor, oh goodness gracious. The 58 centimeters of armor, I think, help immensely in a match like this, where you have, you know, like an open field battleship, and it's not really being contested by specialized anti-battleship weapons. It can just kind of roll over people now. And maybe that's a good thing. It's kind of the design intent of the ship is to be like, make an impression on the OSP team like, oh no, it's a battleship. I need to change my strategy or get help or do something. I cannot just take my one fleet against this one other fleet and brawl it out and win because I'm OSP and I have 450 cannons. You know, if on that side, instead of the two 450 with a plasma turret SLOs, there were like 3 450 liners, they might have enough firepower to deal with this. But not what is being brought here, which is 8 450 barrels plus 2 plasma barrels. It's just not enough. Hopefully in the near future we see some kind of OSP buff that's going to bring some of the other weapon types back into the fray, like especially plasma. Plasma feels really, really bad to try and shoot at a battleship now. Like, it's almost required to have some kind of plasma being shot. Because if you just simply rely purely on cannons, there's a whole lot of attrition that has to happen on the armor before you can punch through that 450, in most cases, all the way as deep as it needs to go. Ooh, some good hits there. Ooh, some lucky misses there. This ship drives disabled. Yeah, so with that, the only real threat remaining is ironclad, and it does not have enough missiles to do the job that it needs to do. It's going to try, though. But the PD on this battleship has been built correctly. It is running a little bit low, but I think it has enough to outlast, let's see, what is this? Oh my gosh. Let's call it 30 S2s and 16 S3s. What is the lean dispenser bulker? Oh no. Yeah, so a word on the 250 Acello. All plasma stack E-regs. Yeah, I'm hugely not a fan of that. I was against changing the plasma casemate into a steady state fire, because when it was the burst fire and it had the rapid cycle, E-regs could not buff it as much as they do now. Now that it's steady shot, you get plus 300% rate of fire if you take all 5 E-regs. Which, you know, that turns a 4-barrel line ship into a 12-barrel line ship. Like, to get the equivalent amount of plasma, you'd have to have, let's say you built a monitor swarm, you'd have to have 4 monitors with 2 plasma turrets apiece in order to equal the plasma coming out of 1 plasma liner. Which is like, that's fine, except if you balance it around the fact that you want the plasma liner to do, like, quote unquote, the appropriate amount of plasma damage in the correct amount of time, then anything that isn't a plasma liner is going to be just trash. Oh, it always worked. It's just, you know, it's a purely support-focused ship that does no damage on its own. If, let's say you take, like, a plasma liner and, I don't know, we'll say for the argument, 2 100mm, like, just all turret line ships in order to shoot at the reduced, heck, you could even bring 250 liners, right? If a battleship sees that happening, they can just target the plasma and blow it up. Or they could target one of your cannon liners and blow that up. And, like, before the point in time where the plasma becomes successful in burning off all the armor, one of those 2 ships will be dead. And then you don't have a combo anymore. Like, and if you decide to take out the plasma ship, then you're stuck with a ship that, like, cannot fight a BB anymore. So why would you go through the trouble with the equivalent amount of points to, like, use a combo weapon where that combo can be broken because you have to take each part of it on a separate ship, and you have all of these, like, issues with trying to get them in the same place and both on the same target and not one of them or the other dead? Why would you go through all that trouble when you could just take a 450 and, like, it's fine. It works all the time, forever. It just doesn't make sense. And if you decide to diversify and spread it out so that you have ships that carry both plasma and the weapon that you want to push into the plasma burn, well, then your plasma is trash and it doesn't even do its job. Yeah, but the 5-mount broadside liner with the 250s and the plasma, like, that plasma only becomes relevant if you shoot it at a battleship for, like, 6.5 minutes. Like, that's how bad it is. Before that happens, it has almost no impact. It's just, yeah. He has the C point.
The enemy secured zone coming.
GG! So I think that is an excellent example of the new meta. If you bring a bunch of Axfords and Solomons and you don't react with OSP, it's just going to be like a straight up loss. The Axfords now with their repair buffs, they can really kind of weather getting shot at a little bit, and they can get back into the fight, which was an issue they had before. Like they'd always get punched on the nose, and then they'd kind of be struggling to get back in. They'd repair a turret, and then it would die again, and they'd repair something else, and then it would die again. And now you can kind of fall back on your damage threshold and your damage reduction to kind of keep modules red, and then back out of combat a little bit, or just force, some kind of break. Get them repaired up to like 20-ish%, and then go back in and fight some more. And that gives them just an incredible amount of longevity. And you can do things like go and take the fight to some 450 liners, back off, and then come back in again. And it will no longer be like a one-sided affair if you do that. And then you've got, the battleship, where now if you just shoot some token 450 at it, like Acellos are not going to be dumping the amount of fire you need now. You get a battleship that looks like this instead of, orange or red or something before. So yeah, I think it's a good change. I think there'll be some adjustments needed. Like for sure, OSP is going to be interested in bringing some more dedicated anti-battleship weapons rather than just 250s.